That's just a stupid boulder.
It's not just a boulder. It's a rock. A rock.
So the new mini box Ray of Aura gives a lot of support for the Sky Striker, Shark, Super Quantal, Earthbound Immortal, Chronomaly, and Tenyi decks, and also gives everything you need for the new deck type Phantasm Spiral. But at the same time, the new selection box also gives some added context to this mini box, so let's get into it. Sky Striker previously had to get their Link monsters and engage from a skill, and there wasn't any other way to use those cards, but now we're getting all of those cards in the game, meaning that Sky Striker can play with other skills now. This new mini box gives engage, so not only can you play it with other skills, you can play 3 copies and play a 20 card deck instead of a 22 card deck. We also get Hayate in this box. Being able to play multiple Hayate will be nice for grind game. We also get Kagari in a bundle, so we can play that too, alongside a pretty nice sleeve. Now as a Sky Striker player, I feel like I can get by with just Shizuki, Kagari, and Hayate a lot of the time, but I'd be lying if I said Kaina didn't come up to prevent some opponent's attacks. But in order to play Kaina, I'd have to go into the selection box, because for some reason they decided to put Kaina in a selection box. I say for some reason, but we know what the real reason is. Greed. Truthfully, I want to be optimistic and say that you can ignore the selection box, but if you want to play Sky Striker, that really matters at 1 copy. Thankfully, at 1 copy, it is something you might be lucky enough to pull, and the purchase limit for the box is 20 out of 36, and there are 2 Kainas per selection box, so the chances are pretty good that you'll get one, but it's still random. Shark's got some new cards and a new skill. Sharks are already pretty good at spamming out some rank 4 XCs, but we can do more now, because the skill has you discard a shark and also send a shark from deck to grave in order to add the spell Aqua Jet to hand. Don't worry about its effect, just know that you're getting a spell card in hand and sending a shark from deck to grave. With this, we can send the new right hand shark that says if you control no monsters, he can special summon himself from grave. Having the spell card is good though. Bear with me for a second, let me put you on game. You can summon a rank 4 Bahamut Shark and use this effect to summon the new rank 3 Tri-Edge Levia with no materials, who has a quick effect to attach a material to negate an opponent's monster, but since it has no materials it won't work. But we can use the skill to reveal a spell in hand to attach a card from hand or grave to one of our XCs as material, so you can still get that negate off. We also got Left Hand Shark, which special summons itself from hand or grave if you control Right Hand Shark, and if summoned from grave it will become level 4. So if you already have Right Hand Shark, then you can send this from deck to grave with a skill instead to have it summon itself from grave. Right Hand also searches for Left Hand on normal summon, but we might prefer to use our normal summon on Buzzsaw Shark or Beautiful Princess. Either way, Sharks has already had a lot of extension and now has more extension and has more payoffs, but you are going to need the Shark support from older boxes in order to benefit from this box. At least they didn't make it worse with selection box exclusive. Thankfully, this box does have something that is pretty good and only needs you to have this box. Phantasm Spiral is a deck focused around only having non-effect monsters on board and benefiting from it by getting powerful back row you can use. And what's more is you can activate them from hand if you have Umi on board, so you could play the Mythic Depth skill to have that Umi guaranteed. But this deck has its own form of Umi called Pacifist the Phantasm City. It says that if your opponent activates an effect while you control no tokens, then you can summon a Phantasm Spiral token. That's going to be the non-effect monster on board that you need to activate your powerful traps. The field spell also says that if you summon a normal monster, you get to search the archetype, for example one of the traps, to interrupt the opponent, so it would be worth playing Megalo Smasher X or whatever other vanilla you have. For all this, you get a trap that nerfs and negates an opponent's monster and a trap that destroys an opponent's card. Pretty solid hand traps, and you can put a bunch of other staples in your deck after putting in your field spell, traps, and normal monster. And funnily enough, Paleozoics can work pretty nice in this deck since they count as normal monsters, so they will count as normal monsters for the field spell search, and they will summon themselves from grave if you use one of your traps. This deck has a bit of synergy with Tenyi since you can use Tenyi level 4s to protect your vanilla monsters too, so the deck comes together pretty nicely, and you really only need this box to make a playable version of the deck, but I don't know how competitive it's going to be. This one seems like a solid free-to-play rogue deck to me. The Power Rangers got reprinted in the selection box, and there's new support in this mini box. White Layer special summons itself by discarding one of your Power Rangers, which can be nice for their grave effects, and the new XCs is a quick effect negate if it has White Layer as material, so the deck has more to do than just summoning an unaffected boss, since apparently that's not good enough anymore. Still though, I don't know if this is going to be enough to make the deck competitive again, but we will have to let the community cook. Last mini box they made the GX gods good, and now they're making the 5Ds ones good. The new skill locks you into Earthbound Immortal Wiracocha Raska, the new monster Linewalker, level 5 spellcasters, synchros, and tuners. and you can't activate the effects of Earthbound Immortal monsters during the first turn. That basically means that Wiracocha Raska isn't going to be able to activate to self-destruct if you don't have a field spell on board. The skill lets you reveal a level 5 or higher monster in hand and then return a card from hand to deck to get the field spell Earthbound Geoglyph from outside of the deck. You also get to search a level 5 or higher monster. Yes, that includes Lancia. Then you add 4 tuners from outside your deck to the deck and send 2 synchros from outside of the deck to the grave. At the time of recording, we don't know what those tuners are or what those synchros are, but if I had to guess, I'd say they put in Sun Dragon Inti and Moon Dragon Killer into the grave, and the tuners meant for summoning those into the deck. We can benefit from them pretty easily with the new level 5s. We can search with a skill, Ascator Dawnwalker and Supe Duskwalker. Ascator Dawnwalker can discard a card to special summon itself from hand and fire and Ascator from deck, and Supe Duskwalker can discard a card to special summon itself from the hand and the Supe tuner from deck. With these, you'd have easy access to synchro summoning Sun Dragon Inti with Ascator and Moon Dragon Killer with Supe. And if we have the other synchros in grave already, then summoning either of these synchros will guarantee you already having the Sun and Moon synchro lock. I'll go over it real quick. If Killer is destroyed, then it revives Inti, and if Inti is destroyed, then it revives Killer on next standby phase, and if it's destroyed by battle, it also destroys the monster that destroyed it, and it burns the opponent for half their attack. So these in combination are gonna be a little bit of survivability and grind game you can use. We could definitely use our Ascator or Supe to summon other synchros though, and these might really be used in other synchro decks as just a way to make level 6 or 8 synchros, and that might even happen in this deck, but having that grind game option is really nice. Another card we got is Greater Lightwalker, which can special summon itself if you have a synchro on field and in grave, and he can search for an Earthbound Immortal, for example Wiracocha Raska. Additionally, if you normal summon an Earthbound Immortal while he's on field, then he can make the opponent's life points exactly 3k, which works well with the third part of the skill that makes your Wiracocha Raska 3k attack, and with his effect he can attack directly like a tune, making sure of course that we have a field spell on board that the skill gave us so that the Earthbound Immortal doesn't blow itself up. We can normal summon the Wiracocha Raska really easily too, because the field spell that the skill gives us lets us use one synchro as 2 tributes, and we are pretty likely to have a synchro on board because of the Sun and Moon combo. Also, if you summon a synchro, then your field spell can search an Earthbound back row. Unfortunately though, we don't have any good ones right now. The good thing about this deck is that pretty much everything you need for it is obtainable either by cards that aren't in boxes or just cards from this box, so this is going to be a free to play strategy, and I'm pretty excited to play with the Sun and Moon playmat. But in general, the Ascator and Supe make this box worth going through for their generic synchro support applications. Chronomaly got support and had their stuff reprinted in the selection box. The new skill is pretty much like the old skill, except that your extra deck isn't locked into Chronomalies anymore, and you also get to add some free XYZs to your extra deck. We don't know what those are yet, but getting free cards in the extra deck is always great. We also got the new level 5 Akambaro figures. It can discard itself from hand to protect a Chronomaly from destruction, but if it's engraved you can pay a stack to revive it, but it'll lock you into Chronomalies for the turn. You can discard with this with the new skill in order to search a non-level 4 Chronomaly and add the number XYZs to your extra deck. Since the skill also does what the old Chronomaly skill does, this is basically just going to make Chronomalies much better without having to sacrifice anything, getting more consistency and more extension and more options in the extra deck. But of course this deck does need cards from other boxes, so if you are a whale you can get it all from the selection box, but if you aren't, then you're going to need to go through a bunch of other boxes to get the existing support for this deck. Finally, this box has one card Tenyi has been waiting for, their link for Sahasrara. This is if you have a non-effect monster on board, your opponent can't target effect monsters for effects or for attacks, and he has a quick effect that you can target an opponent's effect monster and then summon a Tenyi token copying that monster's attack, so making a token is going to give it protection from attacks and targeting since tokens count as non-effect monsters, and copying your opponent's biggest attack monster will make it so that that monster has no choice but to either not attack or to attack into a monster with the same stats. If your opponent tries to mess with your token, then you can protect it with your level 4 Tenyi. Honestly, really happy for this, but now I technically can't say that you only need one box for Tenyi. This card is only a rare, so it shouldn't take much for Tenyi players to finish their Tenyi deck by getting one of this. So we've already talked about everything in the mini box, but I do want to bring up the selection box here too. The fact that you need to go into it in order to validate the Sky Striker cards from the mini box, in my opinion, is really damn scummy. But that said, at least it seems like Konami listened and dropped both products at the same time so that people know what they're getting into. Next step is to be less scummy when you support a deck, but we should at least recognize the improvement. We also got Live Twin support in this selection box, Sunny Snitch, which can search for a Live Twin monster, and 2 extenders, Frost and Treat. The Frost special summons itself from hand if you control Lilla, and Treat special summons itself from hand if you control Kill. So if the opponent uses Veiler on your normal summon, then you can activate the Sunny Snitch afterwards to search the right right extender to keep the play going regardless. If your normal summon isn't negated, then they can summon the extenders from deck anyway since they have Grave Effect. Frost lets you draw a fresh card if the opponent adds a card from deck to hand by card effect, and if either player takes damage from a battle involving an evil twin, then Treat will reduce an opponent's monster's attack equal to the damage taken. The cool thing is that even though this is in a paywalled box, you only need one of each of the new support cards. You can get access to the extenders from deck pretty easily already, and the new continuous spell can be searched for by secret password, so just playing one, you can still get easy access to it. Playing less might actually be preferred, so you have more back row slots for other back row, and so you have more deck space for staples. Pot of Avarice is pretty spicy because it can shuffle 5 cards back from grave to deck to draw 2. It doesn't contribute to starting any combos because you need to already have grave set up for it to work. However, it can help you recover your spent up resources, including extra deck resources. And if you're playing a skill that puts cards in grave like the BLS skill, then it can be like a pot of greed for you after you've gotten your use out of the cards you need in grave. The big selling point of this selection box though is
Iraq Lobster.
You might have already seen our video on Nibiru. If you haven't, then go watch that too. I think that the gem purchase limit being 20 packs is pretty good because it's better than usual, but it's still a paywall even if it makes it easier for people to get the Sky Striker and Live Twin support. Realistically, you aren't getting the new powerful staple Nibiru unless you're forking out some cash, and that really annoys me. I know a lot of people that are coping, saying Nibiru won't be very good this format, or that not many decks would be able to play it, but really it doesn't have to be good this format because it will be good eventually, and the selection box is only here for a short amount of time, so not only do you have to have money, but you gotta have it now, because when Nibiru does become relevant, then you want to already have it, and it doesn't matter how many decks can play it. All it takes is one meta relevant deck to want to play it in order for the whole format to be impacted by it. Right now we're lucky that a lot of decks aren't afraid of Nib, however, this format won't last forever. Nibiru is gonna get its time, just you wait. So because of the context of the selection box, I'm really not a fan of this mini box release. The fact that you have to touch the selection box to get a single Sky Striker card means that all of the Sky Striker cards you get from this box will mean nothing unless you touch a paywalled product. But I do have to admit that you have a good chance of getting kinda from the selection box with gems, and if I put the Sky Striker stuff aside and look at the rest of this box, there is some good stuff here. The Earthbound Immortal and Phantasm Spiral decks can be obtained using only this box, so that's 2 solid free-to-play decks. And this box has a lot of solid support for a bunch of decks like Tenyi, Sharks, Super Quantals, and Chronomaly. And really the support for Sky Striker is gonna give the deck a big buff in competitive viability, being able to play a smaller deck size, having more engage, and being able to play any skill you want. In terms of how good this box is for investment, I think the best thing to come out of it is Sky Striker stuff, but you need 3 copies of another main box, and you need to pull a link from a selection box to really benefit from. Other than that, I'm not sure how good this box is competitively, but it does give support for a lot of decks, so if you are somebody that enjoys one of the decks that it's supported, then you really will get a good buff from this box. And this box does have 2 free-to-play decks, but I'm not sure how good they're gonna be. So I feel like this box isn't necessarily a bad investment, but I wouldn't say it's gonna be the best investment unless you already have Sky Striker and can pull a kinda from the selection box. For these reasons, I'll give this box a 6k score of 3 stars out of 5, but hey guys, how would you rate this box out of 5, and what decks are you looking forward to playing from this box? And if you like this video, then slap like now, subscribe if you haven't already, hit the bell to get notified next time we drop a video. Have yourselves a good one guys. I've been Undead from Team 6K, signing out.
Hey, why they gotta hate on me? I done got me 250,000 views and they still saying they low key. They ain't wanna come work with the kid, but I'm flexing with Zay on beats. How they ask for a spot at the gym, but they leave all the weight on me. I don't ask them to wait on me. They would ask where they gon' be with a song if they wanted the weatherman. I ain't ask them to pay no fees. She was homeless and needed a spot. I ain't ask her to pay no lease. I ain't ask her to say no please. I ain't ask her to make no cheese. Scream fake, but it ain't on me. Got clean so it ain't no streets. Why green if it ain't no keeps? Brought cream so it ain't no beef. My team say it ain't no chief. My demon they hang on me. They seemingly ain't no peace. I seen him, he ain't no beast. For